Hi kids! Do you like violence? Do you want to see me put 9-inch nails through each one of my eyelids? Oh my Lord, so much has happened. Welcome back to the channel, guys. Before I get into my big rant, and today it is a big rant, I feel like I'm going to, I don't know. I feel like I'm going to slap some hoes. I feel like I'm just going to obliterate some people because I'm tired of playing nice. Like the message isn't getting out. People aren't receiving what I'm putting out there. So I feel like I either have to get more assertive or I have to just let people make really bad mistakes financially. So I'm trying something different with the audio. Let me know how it plays out. Leave your comment down below. Hey, the audio sounds better. The audio sounds like crap. Whichever way it goes. I'm just trying to make the channel better, guys. So please give me some honest feedback. If you're new to the channel, YouTube is excellent for this reason. Not only does it provide you a platform to voice your garbage out to the world, but it also gives some really good analytical feedback. And the majority of the people watching this channel and the majority of the people that watch my videos for the longest period of time are not subscribers. And that kills me deep in my soul. Like, that kills my spirit. Please, I beg of you. You know you've been coming back. You've been watching the videos. So just hit subscribe for me. Hit that bell notification so every time I release a new video, you can hear what I got to say, because it's important. And that's not just from an egotistical point of view. That's from like a worldly view. These things are important because we're not hearing it in the media. And this is a platform where you get to hear the honest truth, because we're going to break it down for you. And, you know, it's not just me. I work long hours trying to get all of the facts, the data. I want to know what's really going on. But my wife is instrumental, not only in backing me up as far as like the editing and the lighting and all the other stuff that goes into making these videos, the thumbnail creations, that I got a lot of compliments on those. That's all my wife. So I'd like to give her some kudos, and thank you guys for recognizing her greatness, because she certainly is great. Okay, like I said, not to beat a dead horse, please like and subscribe. Okay, now let's get on to the news of the week. Guess what today is? Oh crap. I don't think I looked at the date before I hit record. I'm pretty positive that today is Sunday. That much I know. I have not had too many margaritas at this point. I know we're in March, and I'm pretty sure, shit, my wife's throwing me numbers right now. I'm pretty sure today is March 28th. Yeah, ding, ding, ding. Sunday, March 28th, before we get into the content. 2021. Okay, first of all, I want to address a controversy that came up this week, and it's really just amongst my friends and family. But when I tell you it's a controversy, I mean it's a controversy. Over 10 emails, actually to be precise, 12 emails, and one face-to-face interaction about concerns with this channel. And those concerns from my friends and my family all revolve around, hey, you're crazy. Why are you out there telling people that you have silver and gold? Don't you know someone's going to do a home invasion on you? Aren't you scared? Listen, those are people that obviously have really good intentions, and I love you for that. Thank you. I think I just hit the microphone. Sorry about that. You probably have great intentions. I appreciate it. But in my previous videos, I explained 3 options that you have that are very reliable options to not store silver or gold at your own home. You should not store silver and gold where you reside. That is a fool's that is a foolish way to conduct your savings. Don't do that. Okay, especially because just a few short years ago, I haven't checked the stats recently, but just a few short years ago, Arizona led the nation on home invasions. So I would just say to everybody, number one, if you watch the channel, I encourage all of my audience not to store their silver and gold in their homes. I personally do not store silver and gold in my home. In fact, in the last video, I explain ways that you can divert these investments in different areas where it's not much of a risk. And two, I really didn't want to get into this, but I've spoke about security in the past, home security. And my wife and I are no stranger to home security. We invest in cameras, we invest in alarms, but more importantly, and this is where I got to be really careful because YouTube will, YouTube is a beautiful thing. I'm not beating up the platform, but they really like to scrutinize material that offends them. I'm not trying to offend anybody. So let me spell it out real slowly for you. Everybody should have home defense. And yes, that includes GUNS. Okay? Let me just put that out there. So I encourage everybody to protect themselves. Anybody that suggests that GUNS is a bad thing, and that only governments should have them, does not understand history. Because every time that happens in history, millions of people die. Okay, and I can go over the facts. I can bring up all kinds of data, and I could show you history, like I vowed to you that we're going to do on this channel. Is like I'll cite history. Okay, like Pol Pot or Hitler or this or that. Whenever governments remove the right of the people to be armed, millions of people end up dying. That's what happens. Okay, but I don't want to get all into this. I just want to reiterate. Number one, because there were some family members and friends that were concerned. If anybody breaks into my house, all they're going to get is hot lead. That's the kind of precious metal they will get. You will get precious metals, yes, but it will be in the form of hot lead in your buttocks, okay? And I would also encourage all my friends and family to invest in home security, cameras, alarms, and GUNS, because that's what you should do, because there's a response time, and you don't want to wait for that response time in most U.S. cities. And those response times will only get worse as, you know, we watch these government funds shrink, right? And all of a sudden a police department that had, let's say, an annual budget of $500,000 now has an annual budget of $200,000. What do you think is going to happen to their response time? It might be a good idea to be armed at home, or anywhere for that matter. Okay, enough about that. Sorry I had to go there, but there really were a lot of, for whatever, there was an uptick in responses from my friends and family, so I felt like I needed to address it. Okay, let me get back on track. And in order to do that, I have left myself a few notes. So please, pardon-moi as I reference my notes, because I have a terrible memory. I'm 46 years old, and I'm overworked and undereducated. Okay, here we go. I can't even read to people with a straight face because I hate it when people read to me. So I'm not going to read to you. I might reference this thing periodically, but I can't stand it when people read. So I'm not going to read to you. Here's the thing. Number one, the stock market has absolutely no bearing on reality. If you haven't figured that out by now, okay? It just does not. Our stock market just 2 or 3 weeks ago hit all-time highs. All-time highs. And we are still at all-time highs in unemployment. Wait a minute. Newsflash, guess what? For the first time in over a year, for the first time, new unemployment claims have fallen below 700,000. Well, let's all rejoice. Let's just celebrate. Like, that is great news. And that's how the media plays it. Guys, that is sick. Like, that is sick. You know, there was a time 500,000 jobs every week, and it was huge news. In fact, it was such big news, they used it as a catalyst for Obama to do a huge financial increase to the markets, okay? Basically, this guy ended up doing all kinds of stimulus. And at that time, when Obama took office, get on that fancy Google machine, when Obama left office, or I'm sorry, when he came into office and he took over from Bush, this economy was shedding 500,000 jobs per week. And it was front page news. Everybody was screaming. The house is on fire. Okay? I'm not going to edit that little gaffe I had. I'm going to just keep it. Because it shows I'm human. Guess what, guys? I'm a blue-collar dude. Like, this is what I do. I'm a blue-collar dude. I'm not an economist. I'm not Peter Schiff. I'm not George Gammon. I'm not any of these people. I don't have the luxury of millions of dollars. I have to look at the facts and try to come up with what I think is going to happen with the markets. Just like you. But most of us listen to the mass media and, oh, it's a V-shaped recovery. Look at that. We're all going to be just fine. No. Damn it. This economy is shedding jobs like no other. So for the first time last week, new unemployment claims dropped below 700,000. I think it was at 630,000 last week. First time in over a year. Up until then, every week, week after week, for a whole year, new unemployment claims were at 700,000 or more. Okay? But everybody's got their $1,400 stimmy, so everything's going to be just fine. Because the Walmart parking lots are full. Have you been there? Because they are full. How about Starbucks? Did you get your latte today? Go out and spend that stimmy. Look, everything's coming back. People are going back to restaurants. We got vaccinated. There's people walking around without masks. We're all good, right? Like, it's back to normal now, right? What is normal? I'll tell you what normal was before this virus. 49% of our GDP depended on small business. Hundreds of thousands of small businesses have been absolutely demolished. They're not coming back. They're gone. But we had 49% of our GDP before this health crisis. 49% of our GDP depended on small business. These people haven't done anything for small business. It's all been corporate, like it always is, right? So how is it that everything's coming back? Everything's going to be just fine. Okay, pause, dramatic pause even, because here I'm going to reference my notes again rather than read to you. Okay, so, oh yeah, I covered that, Oh yeah, are you laughing at me? Sorry. I covered that. Hey, guess what happens? If you look at the media right now, it's like, wow, we are on a bounce back. We're on a real bounce back. No, we're not. Guys, look at the facts. What is this economy doing? This economy is dead. The only thing keeping it afloat is government stimulus. And if you think stimulus is not here to stay, you're wrong. They're already talking about the infrastructure bill. Was that too long of a pause between infrastructure and bill? They're already talking about the infrastructure bill. It's coming, probably $3 trillion, maybe 4. Okay? Infrastructure will not rebuild an economy. It will not. Like, infrastructure helps a healthy economy. But when you don't produce anything, and all you do is consume, what are you rebuilding? You're rebuilding consumption? Is consuming sustainable? Of course it's not. At some point, you have to provide value. And we provide no value. Did you know this? And I'm about to go out of order because I've got an order here, believe that. Like, I did some homework, I've got a diatribe I wanted to stick to, and that's out the window at this point because I'm getting so damn passionate and distracted. I happen to be in an industry where I get to see what are cargo trends doing. But not only that, it's not just because I'm in the industry. I can look, I'm not an idiot. I can read. What are the experts saying? Guess what? I'll tell you what they're saying. You can go to Long Beach right now, and you're going to see anywhere between 50 and 55 ships out there on the horizon waiting to be unloaded. All those Chinese goods. Well, whose economy does that help? That $1,400 stimmy. Whose economy does that help? When you go to Walmart and you're buying all those cheap Chinese goods. China is building their middle class. We're not building our middle class. We're not building anything. Any of this stimulus going towards trade schools or re-educating folks that have been displaced? No, not that I'm aware of. Like, these are the things you would do. If I would think, like, if you're even semi-intellectual, you like try to look at it from a constructive perspective and say, how are we going to put this economy back together? I would say we re-educate people, and especially those displaced workers, and find them new jobs, whether it be in technology or some type of trade where they can actually build and create things and produce value into the market. That's not happening. That's not, we're just giving free money away. and then we go to Walmart, we buy Chinese goods. Well, guess what? And any of my friends that are hauling containers, you can comment down below as well. Tell me what you're seeing. Are those ships sitting off of the port, anchored, waiting to be unloaded? Are they going back to China or Asia? Are they headed back to Asia with a ton of exports? Let's see what the experts say. Look here. This is from Supply Chain Dive. Why the empty container math doesn't add up in U.S. exporters' favor. Okay. Look, I'm going to leave it to you guys. I know you guys, all of my audience, you guys are smart enough to look this up and read this whole article on your own, okay? But I'll just go down to something that caught my eye. One is the graph, okay? So the graph is basically exports of empty containers surge on high demand. And you can see how much that surge has happened recently in 2021. It's gone hyperbolic. But if we go down here to this quote, this is what really caught me. Some carriers currently shipping over 75% of their containers empty back to Asia to make sure they get there faster. Well, why would they do that? Like I said, you guys can delve back into the article on your own, but the reason they would do that is because they're going to make more money if they can get those containers back to Asia faster in order to load empty containers quicker and import them into America. The shipping companies are going to make a ton more money doing it that way than hauling our crappy exports to Asia. And that's a fact. And you can read the article and find out it's a fact. Okay, so like I said, I did that one out of order. I'm trying not to edit. Like, I just want to do this one shot and be real with you guys. Like, if you were here hanging out with me, just shooting the crap, and I had you as just an audience that didn't talk back to me and didn't interrupt me, this is what I would say to you. Like, don't talk back, just listen. Okay? I don't want your opinion. I just want to give you mine, right? Okay. So, now more of a personal story, but not really. I mean, kind of. So, my wife and I, we golf every weekend, okay? And I'm terrible, and she's better. She's much better. In fact, most of the time, I tee off, and I cuss at my slice, and then I drive to the ladies' tees, and I let my wife tee off, and then I drop wherever my wife hit the ball because I'm just that bad. I'm just not good, okay? So here's the thing. This weekend we went golfing, and there were some old men behind us, and they were ratchety. I mean, they were cantankerous, and you could tell they were just like, meh. How do I tell? Well, because one of them comes up, and while we're about to tee off, he says to me, "What's going on with that group in front of you? Why are they so slow?" And I said, well, the course is running slow. There's a group in front of them. Okay, so the course is running slow today. Calm down. Okay, and he went back to his little privately owned golf cart that he's so proud of and kind of hemmed and hawed. But the group playing in front of us were a twosome. Rebecca and I just happened to be a twosome. So rather than have a big issue and make some old man spit his dentures out in anger, I told Rebecca, like, let's team up with these guys ahead of us and play it out. So we approached the guys, and in order to disarm them, I let them know right away, hey, listen, my wife and I, we're not very good. We're catching a little bit of grief from the old men behind us to kind of speed up. How would you guys like to pair up to make things faster? And to their credit, both these guys were like, yeah, absolutely. So we get to talking, and guess what? I find out they're both realtors. They're both realtors. So I asked this, one is, I think one was 35 and the other one was like 26. They're both relatively young. I'm an old man, so that 35 even to me is kind of like, yeah, well, I get it. Like, you've got a lot of experience, but you're kind of young too. I asked the 35-year-old, I said, listen, let me ask you a question. Once I found out they're realtors, right? Let me ask you a question. Are we in a real estate bubble? And without hesitation, he replied back to me quickly. He's like, absolutely not. No, not here in Arizona. Not with the migration. Not with the migration from California. That was his response. Okay? So I said, really? I said, even though, like, just in February, home prices were at 15% increase year over year. Like, you think that's sustainable? That's not a bubble? And he's like, well, I admit they're going up fast, but I don't think they're going anywhere anytime soon. And you know what? To his credit, he may be right. As long as this government continues to ignore the forbearance issue or kick that issue down the road, see, you got to understand, kids, about real estate. A healthy real estate market allows foreclosures to take place. That's part of a healthy real estate market. We haven't had foreclosures take place. Courts are backed up over 1 year in foreclosure procedures. Like, that is tremendous. So I mentioned to this kid, what about forbearance? What do you think about forbearance? How's that going to affect, like, certainly real estate is, kind of, it's dictated by supply and demand like any other market, right? So what happens when all these forbearances flood the market? His reply to me, straight-faced, was, you know what? People think that there's a lot of forbearance. In actuality, the number's not that big. Really? And this is what I told him. I said, I kind of know the numbers. Like, I look at the numbers every day. I watch the numbers. Right now, we're at 2.7 million nationwide in forbearance. 2.7 million. If every single one of those homes hit the market at the same time because government lifted this forbearance on foreclosures, you would see real estate prices absolutely tank. But that's not likely at all. So let's say most of those people, not even most, let's say half of those people at 2.7, let's say over half those people are able to work out a deal. Okay? So they're able to get some type of financial reckoning on their loan. They're able to work a deal with the banks and reposition the loan. You still have, out of that 2.7 million, if I lowball it, you still have 1 million people, 1 million homes hit the market at one time. What is that going to do to prices? And he's telling me I'm underestimating the effects of forbearance, because real estate agents always do. And I don't want to, I have some friends that are real estate agents, okay? So I don't want you to feel like I'm beating up real estate agents. But there's a couple facts you need to know about real estate agents in general, okay? The first one is, and please, by all means, Google this later, 80% of the real estate agents that are working right now, 80% of them in 5 years will cycle out of the industry. Meaning every 5 years, the real estate industry sheds 80% of its realtors. Why? Well, because it's certainly hard to be a realtor and be successful. So what happens to those realtors? Well, they go back to Home Depot. They go back to Bed Bath & Beyond. And they work part-time gigs as they go back to community college, or they try to find some, trade or whatever. They get re-educated and they enter the market in a different industry. But the real estate industry sheds 80% of its realtors every 5 years. That's a fact. So think twice before you jump in that real estate school, okay? Why is that important? Well, it's important for my point. Realtors are no expert. A realtor is kind of positioned in a place where I need to make money, and in order to make money, I need people to believe it's a great time to buy. Interest rates are at all-time lows. Yes, house prices are heavy, but if you're going to be there for 30 years, it makes sense. That's the argument. And it's not a bad argument. But the truth of the matter is, it is a bad argument if you know the market is going to correct in the next 3 to 4 years. What does the market correct mean? Well, if you bought a house today And in 3 years, the market corrected by 20%. So you lost 20% of the value in your home. In other words, let's keep the math simple because I'm a simple dude. You bought a house for $100,000. And in 3 years, you lost $20,000. So that house you paid $100,000 for is now only worth 80. Would you have waited the 3 years or would you have bought? That's the only way for anybody in this market to surmise whether or not it's the right time for them to buy personally. And while I'm on that topic of whether or not it's a good time for you to buy personally, all of these topics, you have to remind yourself, I'm just a character on YouTube, okay? This is not financial advice. Don't listen to me. You will lose, okay? So you should do your own homework and you should try to figure out what's right for you. Seek personalized financial advice. Don't listen to some guy on YouTube, okay? All right. With that said, the housing market is absolutely going to correct. Only a genius would know by what percentage. I'm predicting it's going to correct within the next 2 to 3 years by more than 30%. That's what I think is going to happen. Okay? We don't produce anything. Stimulus is here to stay. The only thing keeping this economy afloat is absolutely government spending. We're not even borrowing the money now. We're just printing. We're buying our own bonds. It's like the picture of the snake eating its own tail. That's America right now. And if you're a patriot like me, that is incredibly disheartening. That brings sadness to the very core of who you are. We got to stop this spending. When they send a stimulus out, it's like, what am I going to do? I'm going to say no to the $1,400. Don't do that. Do not do that. You're working. You're lucky enough to be working still. You've paid your taxes. You take that money and you change it into something that's not just paper. Because that's all this is. It's monopoly money, guys. Okay? Silver, gold. I'm not a big digital person, but if you're into Bitcoin, go into Bitcoin. It's got to be better than the dollar. People have this confidence in the dollar like it's just going to be there forever. It's not. Okay? Okay, so I've got distracted. I've gotten off the beaten path. But I want to remind you of a few things. And I'm going to remind myself of a few things. Because I didn't even comment on why real estate prices are unsustainable. Well, people are always talking about, hey, like it's a great migration from California. Okay. Well, in order for there to be a migration from California, there has to be somebody selling that home for a high dollar in California. But wait a minute. I thought everybody was fleeing California. Everybody can't be fleeing California and buying real estate at inflated prices at the same time. Eventually, one of those two narratives has to be the dominant feature. And I do believe that selling your home at an inflated price in California is nearing its end. So what does that mean? That means that real estate will again find its happy median, which means it will come down. Well, why? Why does it have to come down? I'll tell you why it has to come down. Because Americans' income collapsed by the most on record this February. You can look this up. Guys, I can't make this up. Americans, in order to buy homes at inflated rates, have to make inflated amounts of money. But we all know wages never keep up with inflation. And that's what this is. It's certainly inflation. So home prices are inflated. Guess what? The amount of money that Americans are making has collapsed. So I'm going to leave this up. This is on Zero Hedge, okay? And yeah, the article's a couple days old, but what is this, from March 26th? So 2 days ago. It's relevant. Read it. I encourage all of you to read it, okay? Well, this is certainly the roaring 20s, right? Like, everything's great. What? Will our new roaring 20s end with another Great Depression? Not if Joe Biden is smart. Okay, so how many of the people on this channel are going to put their money on Joe Biden being smart? Okay, wait a minute. I'm sorry about that. I try not to be political, but seriously, I want to know, like, what has given people all this false confidence that this is going to be any kind of recovery? This is another great article that I encourage all of you to read on your own, okay? But something did stick out, and that is an increased money supply a ticking time bomb of financial instability? Fortunately, the Fed has the tools to defuse such a time bomb before it goes off. It just needs the willpower to do so. Okay, that is an ignorant statement, and you can read this article because guess what you're going to find out? The Fed doesn't have any tools. You know what tools the Fed has? It has the ability to print and raise interest rates. That's it. And actually, if I could go down here and find where it's like, hey, and take some steam out of the recovery through higher interest rates. Guess what? The Fed is not going to raise interest rates because it can't afford to. America cannot even afford to make their minimum payments on their debt. If you raise the interest rates, we are screwed. So how are you going to make your payment? I guess the MMT folks, right? Today, folks would say, well, we just print more. You cannot print your way out of this. Like, I feel like I'm this guy that's like just screaming out to the world, look at what's going on. And yet I have friends and family in my own circle that are out doing silly stuff. Look, I've got more articles I could show you and more shit I could say, but I want to give you the lowdown real quick because I've gone on too long. I'm sure I'm at 30 minutes. Do you think I'm at 30 minutes, babe? Here's the lowdown. As much as I try to encourage my friends, my family, my loved ones that listen, we are about to experience something that this world has never experienced before. A global economic downturn. Dare I say it, a global economic depression. But because of all this liquidity, because of all this money being poured into the system by the Fed, people think we're going to be just fine. Like, look, everything's coming back. No. It's a warning. Like, I feel like I'm a lighthouse. And I'm like trying to send you that beacon. Listen to me. It's over here. Over here, you'll find shelter. If you don't do stupid stuff, like go buy a new car. If you don't take on more debt. If you don't buy a house at the top of the real estate bubble. Why would you do that? But people don't want to believe it's a bubble. They don't want to believe that there's some economic collapse coming. Because it messes with their minds. Like, hey, I'm an optimist. I'm built on optimism. Guess what? I am too. I'm so optimistic that I know there's an economic collapse coming, and I'm positioning myself right now to take advantage of that opportunity. Because when it happens, there are going to be red light sales on everything you could imagine, from RVs to stocks to Bitcoin, and yes, to housing. Red light sales. But you have to be patient. And you have to be understanding. You got to know that the markets, all markets are cyclical. Nothing goes straight up. And you can't just do this. You can't just do this. You can't have this. I don't care what political persuasion you affiliate with. You have to know that right here, that's long been considered a banana republic. We're there, folks. We're already past that point. Normally it's 100%. We're 129. Listen, I love you all. I talk crazy, I rant, but hey, at least my words are honest. And I want my audience, I truly believe that my audience, if you watch this video to this point, you're of a higher intelligence level than 99% of America. Like, you know what I'm saying is true. So I just want everybody to take care of themselves and put their money in the right places. When it comes to spending your stimmy, you're not out buying new shoes or new apparel. You're probably putting that money in places like gold and silver while it's on sale, and investing in home security and making sure you have water and canned food for when things get bleak. And I'll see you next Sunday. Take care.